So this next question is about frivolous patent lawsuits and how they might impact your business and ways to go about preventing them. So, frivolity, whether it's frivolous or not is kind of the conclusion of the person that receives the claim of infringement or the lawsuit. And often the person with the patent doesn't think it's frivolous, right? So I just kind of throw that out there. So there's kind of one side will call that person a patent troll. We'll say it's a frivolous lawsuit, this person's a patent troll. And the other side will perhaps say that, your company is stealing their technology. So it's always a matter of opinion, but I just kind of point out that those are strongly or loaded terms, right? And there were lots of loaded terms in this area because patent litigation can be very expensive and these settlement amounts can be very high. In some cases, they're bet the company sort of situations, so they're very emotionally charged and to be taken very seriously. So there are all kinds of reasons why people might come after you on a patent. And I always try and break it down and try and find out what their motivations are. So you might have somebody whose patent troll is the loaded term, but a non-practicing entity has come after you about something. And they don't have any business. Their business is enforcing this patent. For them, often it is just an unemotional transaction. They want money, right? They don't want to necessarily shut you down. They just want to get paid for their patent. And in some ways that can be less threatening because all they want is a check. And then there might be a direct competitor, right? That feels as though you're encroaching in their market, winning contracts away from them because you're stealing their technology. Those tend to be very hard fought after lawsuits. Those tend to be the most dangerous and the most expensive ones to go after because they may actually be trying to shut you down. You can simply be seeking damages, like often patent trolls are just wanting damages. Competitors are often wanting an injunction to stop you from doing what you're doing. So, of course, that's an existential risk for your business. You have all kinds of other strategies. Sometimes big businesses will have big patent portfolios that they're trying to get some money for, or I've seen it where it's a prelude to an acquisition, but as they burden you down in those legal fees, right as you're about to run out of money, they'll come in and scoop up what's left of your company at very favorable pricing for them. Sometimes it's the opposite. It's a small company that's looking to be acquired by a big company. And the intention is, and maybe there had been some negotiations about licensing the technology or the product. Those discussions broke down. The big company is going about selling something that infringes anyway. And the lawsuit will kind of be a nudge to say, hey, look, you have to engage and license our product, or perhaps just buy the company, right? So it's always very important to break down those circumstances and find out what is really the thing that the parties want. And then you can come up with a game plan accordingly, right? And then sometimes there's patterns with regard to it. So like patent trolls often are going after something that's not very core to your business, right? I had encountered one where it had to do with fax machines. And even today, still, most companies have a fax machine. They had some patents on it. They send this letter to everybody, and they settle for next to nothing. One thing that you want to be sure of or be cautious of is that if you get this letter from the patent holder If you just hand it over to your lawyers, they may want to do a bunch of analysis, try and figure out what's going on. Do your diligence. Like when you see one that's likely to settle very inexpensively, don't do a bunch of analysis, because pretty quickly you can spend a lot of money with your lawyers only to find out that the patentee only wants $10,000, $25,000. It's very typical for them to have a strategy that is based on kind of nuisance value, right? And nuisance value means different things to different people, but often it's what your lawyers are going to give you as an estimate to look into this over the next few months. So to review a patent and come up with some sort of strategies, maybe do some searching, you're going to very quickly spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And perhaps this patent troll is settling for $10,000 or $20,000. It pays to look around, do some research, and find out the pattern of the patentee, where they're suing, how often they're suing, and see if you can't find a colleague within your firm or a colleague that you know elsewhere that has worked with them before. And often the settlements are confidential, but you can get some intel on these reasonably easy, right? Even if it's a lawyer that you don't know, you can call them up, and they're often trying to, perhaps represent you in this matter because they have experience, and they'll give you lots of good hints of what's going on, whether it's a big deal or a small deal, and some of the strategies involved. So gather that intelligence and try and size up the problem. Try and understand what the patentee might be worried about or what their end goal may be. And then you come up with a strategy for dealing with it. So every lawsuit's a nuisance. The key thing is to break it down, figure out the motivations, get some idea on the costs, and then make a business decision. And there may be reasons to fight, there may be reasons to settle, there may be reasons to do something in between, right? And it's key that you're working with somebody who has a strategy that's keeping your interests in mind, because this litigation can be tremendously expensive, and law firms just salivate at the prospect of these because they will bill tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars, fighting one of these. So just make sure you size it up properly, and you're making a decision that's in your best interest, motivated by your concerns and the risk of the situation. So I hope that answers the question. If you have any follow-up, please leave it in the comments below or send us your question. And don't forget to like the video if you got something out of it, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.